Nazreen and Alejandro Torres, you can unmute. Okay. You can hear me all right?
Yes.
You are the plaintiffs, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak up because I can't, it's hard to hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. On the screen, iPad, Daniels, who do we have? You can unmute. Unmute, please. Press the unmute button, please.
Direct.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Do you speak Spanish?
No?
Habla tú. One moment, please.
Hi, Mr. Pettis. If you want to unmute,
There you go. Sorry about that.
no problem. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Judge is here. How are you doing?
Good, good. Okay, the screen is iPad, Daniels.
Correct.
Is that?
That's
your
my
client?
client.
That's your client, okay. Okay, your client's name, I'm sorry?
Niels Carrasco.
Niels Carrasco, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if the witness raise your right hand. Mr. Carrasco, you as well?
Yes.
Nazreen, you raise your right hand?
Gabe, ¿puede hablar mi esposa, Gabe, en esta cita?
Hold on. Just raise your hand first, Niels. Okay. We'll get to that point.
Nazreen,
Okay.
Alejandro Torres, if you raise your right hand.
Tu mano derecha.
Carrasco, if you raise your right, you swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Is there something your client wants to address, Mr. Pettis?
What was that, Judge?
Is there something your client wants to address?
Oh, I think he wanted to see if we could call his wife. He might have to call his wife as a witness and say, she was, I think, part of it. So that was it.
Okay. Okay, Mr. and Ms. Torres, I assume, or Mrs. Aziz and Mr. Torres, who's going to speak first?
I'm gonna speak, sir.
Okay, if you want to tell me what it's about, go ahead.
Yes, we started planning our wedding on the summer of 2019. We got engaged in December 1st, 2018, but we started planning our wedding in the summer of 2019. And that's when we came across Mr. Neil Carrasco, and we booked him for the services of his DJ services, lighting, and he was gonna do the dance floor for us in our venue. So I met with him in the summer of 2019 at the venue, and he showed us how much lighting we will need for the venue, where he was gonna set up the dance floor. And he did a contract for us for the audio, for the lighting, and for the dance floor. And then time passed, and we wanted to add more services from him. So we added a red carpet, which is the photo booth, and we added an extra hour. So he created another contract for us, and that was December 27th of 2019. That was the last time I saw him in person because we don't live in El Paso, we live in Lubbock. So he created that second contract for us for the red carpet and the extra hour. And then, like I mentioned before, that was the last time I saw him in person. So when COVID-19 started happening.
Do you have the contract?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it, did you present it to the court, or is it part of the documents?
Yes, sir. I send the evidence to the email that they send me.
Okay,
So I send the
is it from you?
Yes, from me. I send both contracts.
It'd be Aziz?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also send the statements because I paid him through Wells Fargo, and everything else that I paid him was in cash.
Just, I'm trying, here we go. I have 3 documents. Okay.
Yes.
So, to This isn't, is it the contract?
Yes, sir. That was the first contract for the DJ service and the lighting
Okay,
that he created for us the summer of 2019.
so this is not the contract, the current contract. Is that right? That was not the current contract.
No, we never signed new contracts.
I thought you said there was one created in December.
That December 27 of 19,
Yeah,
that
that's-
was for the red carpet.
That's this one's 6/2019.
Yes, and I sent another one that said, it has more documents.
Oh, maybe it's on the
Yes.
same one?
On the same email where it says +5, there's more documents there.
Where it says,
+5,
oh, +5, there we go, I'm
yes,
sorry.
there's more documents.
Okay, so which one would it be here?
The one that says red carpet an extra hour, that's the other contract.
Okay, so this is the final contract, is that what it is?
Yes, for the red carpet and the extra hour that we added.
This includes everything, or this just includes the red carpet and the extra hour?
That only includes the red carpet and extra hour that we added.
So it'd be a combination of the two contracts?
Yes,
Okay, okay, go ahead. It'd be a
And-
combination of this contract and if I go back to this other one,
the DJ lighting,
this contract.
yes. We
Okay,
only have those two contracts.
Mr. Pettis, do you agree that these are the two controlling documents?
Yes, Judge, it's the, can you, am I still on mute? Okay. Yes, Judge, there's the one created in June and then the addendum, which is in December, which includes the extra services requested.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
And so like I was saying, when COVID-19 started March, April, we started getting worried about, because we didn't know if we're gonna be able to host our wedding, which our original date was June 20 of 2020. So the venue advised us, told us that they were not gonna be allowed to have events during the summer of 2020 because of COVID-19. So we, at that time, our wedding planner was the one in charge of talking to the vendors at the time. So she spoke with Mr. Carrasco in June, and she told him that what were our options, because the wedding venue already told us that they were not going to be hosting any events for the summer of 2020. So she informed us that Mr. Carrasco was willing to move the date to a different date because he was not gonna give us any money back that we already gave him. So when we postponed our wedding with the venue, he was willing to move the date for January 9th of 2021. But because he was also not gonna give us back any money that we already paid him. And
Okay,
the
so did you agree to reschedule to January, what's the date?
January 9, 2021.
Okay, did you agree to reschedule to that date?
Yes.
Okay,
And so he moved the date to January 9, 2021. And this was over the phone because, like I mentioned, we live in Lubbock. So she was getting in charge of talking to the vendors and trying to move the date because the venue told us that we were not gonna receive any money back either. So we postponed the wedding for January 9, 2021. So when everything started happening again with COVID-19, on November 28, 2020, the church administrator called us and told us that the bishop was already canceling religious events for the month of January. So we were trying to contact the venue and just ask them what was gonna happen with our new date, but they were not trying to work with us either. So we were just trying to figure it out what we were gonna do because this was the second time that we postponed our wedding. So it was a second time. So on December 14, 2020, I called Mr. Niels Carrasco and I asked him what were our options, what was gonna happen if we were not able to host our event on January 9th, 2021. And he told us that our only option was to either move again the date to another date, or we needed to find somebody that we could sell our contract to. But he was not gonna give us any money back that we already paid him. So at this point, Your Honor, like we just wanted to move on with our lives. We didn't want it to postpone again. The same with the venue. It had been a nightmare. We just want to get it over with. And we tried to call him and see what were our options, but he refused to give us any money back. So that's why we're here.
Okay, so what are you suing for?
For the amount that we paid him, which was $3,120.
Okay, how much is the whole contract or the combination of both contracts?
It's $5,000 here, Your Honor.
For both, the combination of both of them?
Yes.
Okay,
So we paid him off one of the contracts, the red carpet and the extra hour. Because that was for the one that the total was $1,000.
Pero quedan balances.
okay. Mr. Pettis, do you have any, I'm sorry, anything further, Mrs. Aziz?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Pettis, or do you have any questions of Mrs. Aziz?
I do, Judge. Mrs. Aziz, you testified right now that you entered the first contract in June of 2019, correct?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the addendum was performed in December of that year, 2019, correct?
The red carpet and the extra hour?
Correct, the extras.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the first contract you entered into that you showed the court, you will agree with me that on the second page of that contract, there are payment terms, including a 50% non-refundable deposit required to reserve all services, correct?
Yes.
And then it says the remaining 50% is due, thank you, Judge. On the second page, you'll see it says the remaining 50% is due no later than 5 days prior to that event, correct?
Yes.
And it says booking deposit is $2,000. Deposits are non-refundable. And is that, it looks like it's a signature by my client that you received in this contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You would agree to these terms back in June of 2019, correct?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then subsequent to that amount, or that payment, it looks like you put on, did you put $1,000 down, or how much did you put down initially in June?
I gave him the deposit, $2,000.
Okay, so you did execute that non-refundable deposit in June of 2019.
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay. And subsequent to that, like I said, you asked for the red carpet services, and you had other payments totaling the amount that you needed today, correct?
Yes, the extra hour and the red carpet, I gave them the payments through Zelle.
Okay, but you did make the extra payments besides the 2,000, correct?
Yes, I gave the money in cash.
Okay, and so, but the contract that you agreed to, you understood it, correct?
Yes.
And nobody forced you to sign it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so as well, in addition, the subsequent red carpet has similar provisions about the deposit as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so all these terms were explained to you, you were able to read them, and you understood it, correct?
Yes.
And obviously, we're not blaming COVID on you. I understand that. However, do you understand the reason for the contract and the deposits to reserve a specific time and date?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when COVID occurred and everything that went on last year, every time you contacted my client, when you said you asked him for options, he provided you options about rescheduling, did he not?
Yes,
Okay. And in fact, it was your decision not to reschedule ultimately that led you to file this suit, correct?
well, not necessarily because they were not allowing any events. So we were not the ones wanting to cancel. The event was canceled.
I understand that, but right now, before you finished, you testified that in December of 2020, and you contacted my client to ask for options. He said, that's fine. You can cancel, or you can sell your contract, or you can reschedule, or you can sell your contract, correct?
Yes,
But you have not chosen to reschedule after December, right?
no.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Do you have anything further, Mrs. Aziz?
I'm sorry, sir, can you repeat that?
Anything further you'd like to state?
Yes, sir. The decision that we didn't want to postpone our wedding was because we don't live in El Paso either. And we didn't know what was gonna happen with COVID-19 and with the restrictions, and we didn't want to prolong this any longer.
I have some questions. On this contract that's on the screen, it's $1,000,
Yes,
and you paid the full $1,000, or you paid the $620?
no, I paid the full $1,000. And this, the one you have on the screen, this is not the original one. This was a translated version because the original one is in Spanish.
Okay, did you translate it?
Yes, I translated that.
Okay, and it says here that all you needed to put down at this time was $620, is that correct?
Yes,
But you paid the full amount.
I did.
And there's any, this is gonna be, I've read somewhere, it's gonna be at another, what's the venue? Oh, here, Epic Large Room.
Yes, Epic Rail Yard.
Oh, Epic Rail Yard. Okay, so, and they rescheduled it for January 9th, correct?
Yes,
Okay, were they wanting to reschedule January 9th? Were they willing to reschedule that January 9th date?
I'm sorry, sir, you were cutting out.
Was Epic Railway willing to reschedule the January 9th date?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Pettis, do you have any other questions?
Just one, Mrs. Ease, at the time you executed the contract, you were living in Lubbock at that time, correct?
Yes,
So then when you stated right now that you were living in Lubbock, it was kind of far, nothing changed as far as your location. You had been residing in Lubbock all along, correct?
yes, but I was not referring to the location. I was referring to we didn't know what was gonna happen with the restrictions in El Paso.
No, I understand that, but my question is, when you entered the contract, you were residing in Lubbock, correct?
Yes,
Okay, nothing further, Judge.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Aziz or Mr. Torres, do you have anything further you'd like to present?
no, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Pettis, you want to call your first witness or whoever you'd like to present?
Yes, Your Honor, I think I'll, let me ask my client if he has anything else to add, Judge. I think our pleadings, we have the same contract attached to my counterclaim as well. And then it has the summary of the, I guess, the balance of what's outstanding, under the original contract. So I can ask my client to just to verify those amounts that the court wants, but I mean, the facts are pretty much straightforward, Judge. And this is not one where it's a disputed factual allegation. It's more of a legal, I think, court. But the only thing we're requesting, obviously, is the remaining part of the contract, the deposit, and the attorney's fees as of date.
Okay. Do you want to talk to him off Zoom or?
I'll ask him some brief questions before the court just to verify those amounts.
Okay.
Niels, can you hear me?
Yes. See?
Okay. And you're gonna have to respond in English. I'll just ask you a few short questions. Okay, Niels?
Okay.
You heard the testimony of Ms. Aziz.
Yes.
Okay. Is the timeline more or less correct?
Yes.
And the contract you guys entered into was, did anybody force you or her to sign it?
No.
And you're asking the court to grant you the remaining amount under the deposit as well as attorney's fees, correct?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Miss, or Mr. Torres, do you have any questions of Mr. Carrasco?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. I have a question. I don't know if this is for Mr. Carrasco or Mr. Pettis. You can just answer it.
Sure.
You're asking for the deposit amount. Hasn't that been paid?
Well, Judge, under the contract, the date for the rescheduled date is passed. And under the original agreement, there was the remaining amount was due 5 days prior to the event. Now, he had given her options, and that's why we were seeking that additional amount if the court's to consider it. Because the June.
There was a conversation, I guess. Well, I'll ask Mrs. Aziz, did you notify Mr. Carrasco and say you're not going to reschedule it? You're not going to go forward with the event?
Yes, Your Honor. And I actually wrote a letter because he was asking me to be the one canceling the event, even when I told him that the venue already canceled, so we were not going to be able to have the event. And he told me that I didn't cancel and write him a letter. He was going to go and set up the venue with all the equipment for that date. So I attached the letter that I wrote him on this email.
What's, okay, you have the letter.
Yes, sir.
Is this it here? Oh, you're not seeing this. I'm sorry. Is this the letter?
Yes, sir.
This
And
December 22nd?
yes,
Is this the actual letter or is this translated?
no, that's the actual letter that I wrote to him because he was requesting it. And also, Judge, the contracts that we signed was for the original date, June 20 of 2020. We never signed any new contracts for the new date.
Oh, okay. See, I'm just reading your letter. Because of, let me just read it out. As you know, the original date we were supposed to give it was June 20, 2020. We moved the date to January 9, 2021 because of COVID. Because the venue only gave us the option to postpone. With that said, our wedding date for January 9th got affected a second time due to the current circumstances of COVID-19. There are health orders and a strict curfew in place in the city of El Paso. Since the city is not allowing events, our wedding got canceled completely. At the same time, our church informed us the bishop canceled all religious ceremonies for the month of January 2020. Like I mentioned before, our wedding got affected a second time. We are devastated because of that. We don't want to postpone our wedding again. Okay, so I guess this is a notice of canceling. You don't come out and say it, but you don't give any other option. You're not going to postpone it. So, and you did not see your contracts. So, Mr. Pettis, wouldn't this, I mean, this is notice that this is more than 5 days that they're not going to have it.
Correct, Judge. I mean, and so essentially they breached the contract in writing initially. I mean, when she testified that she would ask for options, that was it.
Okay, so I guess according to the contracts, they forfeit their deposit amount. Let me go back, hold on. And so, I mean, are you suing for what's been already deposited? Mr. Pettis, are you asking for money in excess of the amount that's already deposited?
No, Judge, I mean, that was just a consideration of additional damages, however, but no, we're, if anything, just the attorney's fees and costs at this point, Judge, for filing.
Okay. And this is Aziz or Mr. Torres, what are you all asking for?
Say that again, sir.
What are you all asking for?
We're asking for the money that we paid him and the court fees.
Money you paid him in court fees, okay. Okay, here, this is, look. Oh, this is the actual the red carpet. This is the one that you translated, is that correct?
Yes, that's the original in Spanish.
Okay, so, I mean, it looks like all that was required here is 620. The remaining balance, but you paid an additional 380 that date. So technically, all that required is $2,000 plus 620. Is that correctly? And you can answer. Okay, well, that's how I understand. So, the extra period he was paid, I'm gonna, well, each party take nothing. And, that's my judgment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions?
No,
Sir, can you repeat what you said, sir? There was like an echo.
Each party on their claim takes nothing.
Servicio.
Judgment on all parties. You're forfeiting your amount, and they're forfeiting whatever attorney's fees they're asking for, they're gonna get it out of the money that's already been deposited.
yes, Judge.
Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
I will prepare a judgment, and I will, do we have everybody's email? Do we have, an email for Ms. Aziz Todas?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure we have an email.
Yes, Judge.
I will get you all a copy of the judgment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. I'm gonna end the meeting, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.